As a woman in hip hop, if you do not look a certain way, you're not given any opportunity. I really, really want to see the music industry in general allow women to perform music without focusing on just their aesthetics. I am the first of my generation in my family to be born in Scotland. I think that growing up in Wester Hailes, it definitely shaped me as a person. It was an area of, I suppose, significant deprivation. I didn't really used to come to the centre that much just because there was a lot of kind of rivalry. I wasn't really allowed out of my square just because my mum didn't want me to get into too much trouble. My mum is one of my biggest supporters, which I think most people's mums are. So it's amazing having somebody that's always got your back and someone that really believes in you, especially coming from a Nigerian background because, you know, our families don't really tend to take the arts as seriously, I suppose, as we do in the West. Music has always been such a massive part of my identity. I grew up listening to legendary artists such as Fela Kuti, you know, really people who were strongly emotional, strongly political, and were committed to making the world a better place. I sort of realized I could rap around about the age of 11 or 12. I started writing poetry, and I felt like writing lyrics and rap was the best way for me to express exactly what I felt about the society around me. Because I grew up here, it was the reason that my music had to be conscious. And without that kind of grounding and experience, I don't think that my music would have been so fully focused on being authentic and real. When I first started out in music, I got the opportunity to perform with some of the most incredible artists in UK hip-hop history. So Kalashnikov, Kano, Skepta, MCD. There's so many amazing artists. People do refer to me as Scotland's first female rapper, and for me it's kind of crazy. When you're making art, when you're making music, you're not thinking about who you are, where you rank, but I suppose for me, it's quite an honor. It's a major, major honor. There was a period where I stepped back from hip hop in the UK. I'd be battling and I'd be in a room with like literally 50 or 60 men. And yeah, that's great, but it's a really intense environment. I have most certainly felt pressured to look a certain way. With female artists in hip hop, ever since the 90s, what we've seen is a significant commercialization of the industry. The record labels were really central to that and central to particularly the way people of colour were represented within the music industry. What we see from then on is female artists not really being given opportunity unless they were ready to sell their body along with the music. I deliberately actually made myself as, I suppose, unattractive as possible. I had like quite a ghetto sort of look. It was always like hoodied up, scarfed up, trainers, not stylish at all because I genuinely wanted to be treated and judged on my rap ability and my music. I believe in talent first, looks second. And I think for me, music should not be about how you look. Music should not be about your body. I've had promoters, I've had DJs literally refuse to let me perform unless I was willing to sexualize myself. When I was younger, it did really affect my mental health. But as I matured as a musician, I understood that it doesn't matter. My whole purpose is to provide a competing ideology so that young women have a choice. If you want to have a certain image, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But you should be allowed to perform as an artist without having to sexualize yourself. This is not something that is specific to music. The music industry is just a microcosm of the wider world that we live in. It doesn't matter what industry we're in, we can see that women are judged on their appearance as opposed to their talent or their contribution. So it's our job as females to try to work together to support each other if the men are not going to include us. But to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of these guys must be scared. Otherwise, they would not have an issue putting us on. So LOTOS stands for Last of the Old School. One of the things I love about hip hop is the reality that we must respect those who come before us. And I really just felt like this was the right time to reintroduce this concept of Last of the Old School, which again is all about straddling new generation with the past generation. We have a number of different crew members, Revelations, Cope, Augie, and my drummer Stu.
I take this lyrical, spiritual, genius, serious, almost to the point where it drives me delirious. Try not to sound stuck up or superior. Try to inspire others to lose the inferior complex. Pedal by the long for long necks. Hold my temper and try not to get too vexed. Close to the scripture, close to conviction. Straight up like my brother missing.
What Are You Waiting For is all about saying to people, whether they're artists or in their everyday life, go for it. Always gonna have haters. And I was once told by one of my favorite artists of all time when I was on tour with Lauryn Hill that if people are not hating on you, then you're probably not doing something right. So don't worry about the haters and go for it. What are you waiting on?
For a weakness, that's why I rep that weak name, Sweetness. A street soldier, ready for war. I'ma be a rhymer till my lungs are sore.
What I'm waiting on, don't make me do this without you. Don't make me, what I've been waiting on. Don't make me do this without you. Don't make me do this.
I think the legacy of LOTOS is all about equality and authenticity. That is the thing that I suppose is completely central to our band. So for us, it's about bringing that to life, bringing people together, continuing to pave the way and to inspire the next generation. It's amazing being in Wester Hills, walking down the street, people run up to me and like, oh, I saw you on TV. This is amazing. So I just find that there's no award that compares to lifting people up. People coming to you and telling you that, you know, they didn't think they could be anything, but because of watching you and watching your story, they now feel like they can do anything in the world. What I hope to achieve is making sure that artists and women can slay in their lane. That's what it's about. Be you, be brilliant, and make amazing art. I really believe that music has the ability to transform lives. So that's just at the core of everything that we do.